This is the story here. It's been written out in the Times as well. This is in the Mail. A senior Conservative MP, William Wragg, has admitted his involvement in a Honeytrap sexting scandal. Now, William Wragg has been telling the Times that he handed over the personal phone numbers of several of his fellow MPs and their staff and other journalists to a man that he met on Grindr, which is a gay dating app. Now, he's the vice chairman of the 1922 committee, and he said that he was scared that he shared intimate pictures with the user. The user then sent flirtatious messages to these numbers that he had forwarded. It is understood that 2 MPs responded to this cyber attack by sending an explicit picture of themselves as well. William Wragg has apologised for his what he called weakness and said that he was mortified by the scandal. Owen, what do you make of this story? I mean, look, we need to be fair. William Wragg is openly gay. Yeah. He's entitled to live his life. But when you're an MP and someone asks you to send what could be compromising photos over a dating app,
I'm not. I mean, people can do what they want in that sense. I'm not prudish. Grindr, just so people know, Grindr is generally a hookup app. It's not generally where people go for dating purposes. So there are lots of apps like Hinge, which are more orientated around going for finding a relationship. Grindr's more the sort of, without pulling the curtains on, the gay world where you would just often just have sex with someone.
Okay, well, we don't know what.
No, we don't. I'm just saying, what
the intention was?
It's just whether it's more of a hookup app than a dating app. I just want to be.
Why was he on Grindr in the first place? He's an MP.
I don't have anything wrong with that. I think
do MPs not have the right?
Well, I just think it's very, very unwise.
Well,
really unwise.
There's nothing wrong with MPs being on Grindr. There's nothing wrong with MPs having sex. I don't necessarily want to think about it. But that people, if they're just because you're in an elected office, doesn't mean you can't have your own private life, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Otherwise, you end up as robots as MPs.
Sure, but
in this case, what I don't understand.
I don't think you're a robot if you decide not to go on Grindr. I think there's a whole spectrum of other behaviour that's perfectly fine.
I think you might open yourself up to unscrupulous individuals, so that's a problem, who might find out you're an MP. But there's nothing wrong with MPs having a private life. In this particular case, I don't understand why he's given I don't understand why he gave the details of other MPs.
Well, he gave the details of other MPs because he was worried that the person he had already sent compromising photos to would use those photos to embarrass him.
No, I get that. So why?
In a sense, it was blackmail. And the question I'd like to know is, you are an MP, whether you're a backbench MP, you're a minister, you're a Secretary of State, whatever, you're an MP. I think you're entitled to live your life no matter how you want, whichever apps you want to go and do, whatever you do, as long as it's within the law. But the moment someone asks you for compromising photos and you're an MP, how on earth you're not thinking, hang on, if I send this photo, I may be blackmailed? That is worrying.
Yeah, that's a massive lack of judgment. What's really interesting, lots of interesting things about the story, is that the point at which he should have fessed up is the point at which the person who was posing as a man he met on Grindr said, if you don't give me the contact details for these people, I will potentially release these photographs. Yeah, that's the point at which you either stand up as a kind of good human being and say, I'm not actually going to put other people
What's important to say is we don't know if that person explicitly made a threat. What we know from William Wragg was, I knew this person had compromising photos of me, and I thought I'd better play them.
By the way, I'm aware of that context. I'm still baffled by why you would do that, because it would potentially open yourself up to more of a threat, because then they could send those compromising pictures to those mobile phones. That's why I'm confused.
And it's even more worrying is that those MPs whose numbers he passed on were also caught in the same sexting sort of scheme where they sent compromising photos of themselves.
There's something called catfishing as well, which I think might be part of this, where people online, sometimes what they do is they pretend to be someone else. They use the photos of someone else to lure people in, and and catfishing can be used for these sorts of purposes for blackmailing. It's not specific to Grindr. It happens to straight men as well, of course, or women for that matter. And, you know, there's often, we can see this amongst younger people growing up because lots of teenagers end up, this is a horrible kind of situation where they'll send explicit pictures of themselves and then end up getting blackmailed or being used for bullying purposes. People have ended up taking their own lives because of that. In this particular case, though, you know, I don't think there's, look, you can say it's unwise. If you're an MP, I think sending pictures, maybe naked pictures, is probably not a great idea. I don't think there's anything morally wrong with it. I think the fact we live in a society that's prudish makes it
it's
blackmail.
Not about prudish. You know, as a woman who in the past has done dating apps, you know, some guys, you go on dating app and within 5 minutes they want to send you a picture of a part of their body, unsolicited. That's not nice. That's not normal, nice behaviour. That's horrible.
No,
behaviour.
I get that. Look,
and maybe that's accepted within some communities. I'm sorry, as a woman, it's not accepted.
I love that within some communities.
No, but you said you have no problem with that. I do have a problem with that, and I want to speak for heterosexual women. I don't want to see a picture.
What I would say is there's a different
naked bit of him. I don't think it's acceptable. And actually, it is an offence now to send unsolicited pictures.
No, you're right.
Thank goodness it's an offence. So I won't underplay that.
No, but there is a different dynamic. Just to be clear, there is a different dynamic with gay men because with women there is there's a gender dynamic which can make it predatory and all the rest of it. By the way, it's still predatory, I would say, if gay men send each other unsolicited or it's just bad behaviour. But gay men do obviously have a different relationship towards sex.
Exactly, that's the point I was making. But I think that the fact is that this person also contacted women as well as men. And what we don't know, some people blocked him immediately. And if I was a woman and got one of these, they talk about flirtatious text. What exactly is a flirtatious text? Well, if, you know, that could be really creepy and unpleasant, and I would have blocked them.
Some people blocked them, others responded and also sent compromises images of themselves.
But we don't know whether they were men or women. I don't think many women.
But regardless, I would have thought, as someone who spends quite a lot of time educating people about fraud and security, that we want the people who work in Parliament. They are people. Oh, and of course, everybody will agree. I think we'll all agree that they're entitled to their own private lives, whether they want to be on Grindr or other dating apps. That's their own business. But the moment you make yourself vulnerable to someone from the outside and you're a member of Parliament, what if this was a Secretary of State for Defence, for example? And what if, for example, you weren't being asked for phone numbers of other MPs, but you were asked for, I don't know, details of meetings that you've had?
Yeah, I think it's unwise, but I don't think. I think the problem where we end up in a society where, you know, if people are if it's consensual, where they're sending whatever explicit pictures of themselves they want to send, I don't have a problem with that as long as it's consensual. And society should just move on and not treat that as a problem. And the fact society treats that as a problem makes people like this open to blackmail, when actually the real response to people like this is, you know, well, I mean, look, if you're an MP and you...
creepy behaviour. Whether you're
creepy if you know it, like if it's consensual,
that's from your perspective. From my perspective, it's creepy.
Why is it creepy?
Sending pictures of yourself naked is creepy behaviour.
Well, I mean,
horrible creepy
behaviour.
They
both agreed. It's like couples do that. I don't understand.
But I think we should make it clear
that straight couples do. It's very common amongst straight couples.
It isn't very common. I've got a teenage daughter, and I spend a lot of time with her talking about this issue, and she gets a lot of pressure from boys, young men. But actually, is she consenting to this? No, she's not.
That's different.
I have to pause it there. It is different, and we should make it clear that on this occasion, this wasn't someone that William Wragg knew. This was someone that he had met on an app and actually never met in person, which I think there is a difference between, as you said, Owen, two consensual adults deciding to do that. And
I think it's just unwise. What he did was unwise. But I'm not going to damn him for it. I actually feel sorry for this guy, to be honest. And also, they often say scandals with Tory MPs and Labour MPs about what they didn't have as a child. Labour MPs' money, Tory MPs' sex.